Okie dokie. All right. So I think the problem was with the last one you did. I think we didn't use the neutral of the paper enough, and you kind of covered almost all of the face in white. And I also think with the sort of medium tone of the paper that we really could use a little bit more black in some areas, at least for the shadows. Something that we could definitely get later on with color, but if we cover the whole thing in with too much white, we kind of create a situation in some parts where we can't really go ahead and get that. So what I'm going to do is right now I'm basically just going to add and heighten the places that I think you absolutely need white on, and then you're gonna, I think the big difference between what I'm gonna do and what you did on the other one is really that you're gonna see there is just a lot more of the tan or neutral colored paper sort of coming out. And again, the other thing we want to keep in mind, we don't want the white color pencil and the black color pencil to really sort of mix. We don't want that. So what I want you to kind of keep in mind is that when you see whatever you consider in this picture to be like the medium gray, that medium gray should really just be the paper. All right, and again, just fading in and fading out will be over there. So just bear with me for a few minutes here. I'm not going to talk my way through the entire thing, but I will kind of set this up in the way that I would do it. And I think that this was a good working way that we did the last one. And then if you could just do the black and white part of this and show it to me, then what I'll do is I'll do a separate demo for the colors. And we can pick out the colors that you think you might want to use. Does that work? Give me a yeah.
I'm here.
Okay. Just switch over now to the black. Now, you want to do this in, you said, like oranges and yellows?
Yes.
All right, so what I'm going to say is instead of doing the dark parts in black, why don't we use dark brown?
Okay.
Okay, so, well, it's just the base layer. We always have some tricks as far as how to make things a little bit darker later on. So what I'll do is, because yellow, can be a little tricky, and quite frankly, if we're talking about oranges too, that darker tone of orange, we're probably going to go for like a burnt sort of color, a sort of burnt orange, or sort of brownish tone anyway. So I think let's, instead of using straight up black on this one, because that's really, if we have yellows in there, that's really not gonna work well for us. Let's just do a little bit in dark. It's just the color I'm using is literally called dark brown. And what I would tell you is that there's some really fine little lines in here that I would do right now, just like very carefully in the beginning, only because a nice sharp point, before you go into some of the other little areas. So I'm going to do those kinds of things to get started, especially these little moments inside the eye as far as our little reflections.
Okay. Makes sense.
And then I'll do some of the darker tones in and around the face. Oh, Jordan. Can you hear me? I think that's how I would get started. All right. So the most important things I want you to keep in mind is, the white and this brown shouldn't overlap. And you want to think that between the white and the brown, fading in and fading out, there should be like a neutral zone, literally like an area of just tan paper that sort of borders between the two of them so there isn't overlap. So it's like it fades from white into nothing, into this neutral tone, and then fades into the brown. And then we can always make things darker, but I think on my version you've seen I've used a lot more brown, or what you would have used black. I use a lot more of that than you did. Yours was like all white, and I think that was going to be a problem later on over there. So I think this is kind of what it should look like to get started. We could always make things darker. I don't know if you're using similarly toned paper than I am, whether your paper is a little bit lighter or darker than mine. If you're using slightly darker paper, just a little bit more white. But if you're using the same color as me, I think that's pretty much where we should be at, and that should be fine. And then if you can get up to this part, then what I'd like you to do is get up to this part and then just pick like one or two of the yellow or oranges that you want, and then I'll pick the other like medium ones that we should use based off of that. So try to come up with the colors that you want to use. I think you have a set and I have a set of the same colored pencils, so why don't we do that? And that's what we should be looking at for our very beginning. Does that work?
Yes, thank
All right,
you.
you're welcome. Sorry that I wasn't around yesterday.